VisionOS came out only 5 weeks ago to develop with, and I want you to learn it before the Apple Vision Pro comes out early next year in 2024. Whether you're brand new and you don't know where to start, or a developer looking to explore, you've reached the right place. This is your home for VisionOS Spatial Sundays. In the previous weeks, we've explored Reality Composer Pro and SwiftUI to build the Visit California app. This week, we'll look to design app icons following the Apple guidelines. So let's learn together and let's get spatial. Let's start at developer.apple.com. You can see at the top the exciting news that I announced on Monday. Get ready for Apple Vision Pro. Now you can take your apps and games beyond the VisionOS simulator. You actually can get a loaned Vision Pro device to develop your idea. Watch this video in the description below to help you get started. Let's scroll down and click on VisionOS, and then we're going to click on Plan. And I've showed you this before. You can scroll through and see all of the different information to plan your VisionOS app, but let's go ahead to Learn. Here, I'm going to click on Design for VisionOS, and this is what we want to do. We're going to design an icon today, so let's understand how to design icons. Let's watch the video, Design Spatial User Interfaces from WWDC 23. You can see in this, Design for Spatial User Interfaces, learn how to design great interfaces for spatial computing apps. We'll show how your existing screen-based knowledge easily translate into creating great experiences for VisionOS. Explore guidelines for UI, components, materials, and typography, and find out how you can design experiences that are familiar, legible, and easy to use. These are all of the things that is covered in here, but for us, we just want to look at app icons.
We'll start by talking about the UI foundations and design principles to consider when creating app icons and interfaces that are legible and usable in any environment. Let's start talking about app icons. We wanted to keep home view familiar, and we've gone one step further, making app icons three-dimensional and realistic in your space. When people look at them, they expand, and the system enhanced this visual effect by adding specular highlights and shadows to reinforce the subtle depth between layers. So, how can you design a great icon? First of all, use multiple layers. Other platforms use layers to create a parallax effect. Here, just by using flat layers, the system can create this truly 3D effect. All app icons can have up to 3 layers, a background layer, and up to 2 foreground layers on top. Each layer is a square image, and their size is 1024 by 1024 pixels. Both foreground layers should have a transparent background. Design your background layer as an edge-to-edge square image. Then, all layers will get cropped by a circular mask. And finally, when layers merge together, a glass layer is applied automatically, adding depth, specular highlights, and shadows to them. Try to keep graphics centered. If they are too close to the edge, they could look off-center when expanded. Avoid using large regions of semi-transparent pixels. Layers with reduced opacity will blend with the shadow casted behind it.
Now let's follow those guidelines and create app icons for our apps for Vision Pro. I will show you how to do that in a free online editor. Then I also will show you how to do that in Photoshop, which you have to pay a subscription for. Let's start out with the free online editor. I'm going to type in Photopea.com. I'm going to come here, and this is very similar to Photoshop, and you just go to this website and you can design whatever graphics you would like. I'm going to click on New Project. Remember, they said it's 1024 by 1024. Let's call this App Icon, Vision Pro. I'm going to make the background transparent, and I'm going to select Create. Now, we have a background layer. I'm going to click on this icon right here. I need a middle. I'm going to make another layer. I need a front. I'm going to make one more layer. This is going to be boundary outline. And then I have one more layer that will be our guide of what we're making. Remember, we're going to save the front, middle, and background layers as individual layers and combine them in our app. Let's look at our app, and then let's design an icon. This is our app from last week, Visit California, where we used dioramas. We also learned how to use Swift UI. You can watch this video if you don't currently have this project, and I walk you through from beginning to end how to create Visit California and learn, more importantly, how to use Swift UI to design for VisionPro. When we press play, our app launches in the simulator, and you can see here is our app. It does not have an icon. We don't want it to have this. We want one of these nice dynamic looking icons. You can see the depth there. And if we move closer, you can see it even better. Let's get super close and look at how the app icons change. See the depth when you mouse over these? This is what we want to do. Well, see, ours has no icon. Here, we want to create something that has this depth. So we need to make a bunch of different layers. To create our icon, we need to click on Assets. And here, you can see we need to create a front, middle, and back. So let's do that. Since our app's called Visit California, let's start there. Here we have our icon, but let's go look for a guide. I'm just going to search Google and do Visit California. Now I kind of like this bear. We look at this and open it up, open up the image. Actually, let's go to the website. If we look at this, this could allow us to create a background, a middle with the yellow and an orange as the front to give it kind of that depth. I think this would look really nice. So I really like this, and I do want to, let's right click and copy this image. I'm going to bring it over here into Photopea, and I'm going to Command V to paste it in. Now, before I get started, I pasted it into my guide. I want to set a bounding box. And why a bounding box? Because remember, it's going to get cropped and it's going to look like a circle. So I'm going to select an ellipse tool right here. I'm going to come in this corner. I'm going to hold Shift and drag down until I get to this corner, and then I will release. This is simply a selection. Our boundary box, what I want to do is make a stroke inside of this selection. So I'm going to edit. I'm going to click on stroke. I'm going to change the stroke to 5, and let's make the stroke white. And I'm also going to change this position to inside and click OK. So now this is the area that should get cropped inside for my app icon for the VisionPro. So I want to make sure that everything is centered inside of here. Now that I have that done, I can do Command D to deselect everything. I'm going to select my guide, and I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to come down to Transform, Scale. I'm going to scale this up and try to get this as big as possible in the center and put it like that. So this is my guide. Command 0 will make me zoom into that. And what I want to do is separate these layers. Kind of the background of that color. And I can use this eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select just this background. And probably I do want to make it a little bit darker. So I want to blend between these two. Or maybe I'll go up and make it a little bit brighter since we have. So I'll go there, and you can play around with this. So for my background, let's click on this tool, which is the gradient tool. And all I'm going to do is click and drag up. Now I can't see anything because this layer is on. So I kind of like that, but I probably want this to be a little bit more. Maybe I'll go this way, like that. So I like that. And now I want to have this blue bear to be a part of my background. So I'm going to use the magic wand tool. That is this tool right here. I'm just going to click on the guide and select the blue bear. Now, if I select the blue bear with contiguous on, it's only going to select this shade of blue that is connected. But I'm missing out this blue right here. So I'm going to take that off, Command D to deselect. I'm going to, since I don't have contiguous on, even if I click this, it highlights all of those blues. So now that I have that, I can do edit, copy, or Command and C. I'm going to paste that above, and then I'm just going to right click and merge down. So now I have, that's my background layer. Now I want to get my middle portion. My middle portion is going to be the yellow section. So again, I'm going to go to my magic wand, select that, selects all of the yellow. I'm going to do Command C. I'm going to come to my middle section. I'm going to paste it. If I turn that off, you can see that's my middle section. Then I'm going to come back to my guide. I'm going to use my wand again. I'm going to select the orange. Now it's selecting the star, it's selecting this orange, and it's also selecting me what's possible. Command C to copy. I'm going to come to my front and paste. Take that off. So now you can see this is what we get. This will be my logo for my Visit California. I can take the bounding box off because I don't want that inside of my app. And now I have the 3 layers that I want to save. My background layer, my middle, and my front. So I'm going to turn these 2 off. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to do Export. And I'm going to do JPEG for the background. I'm going to call this icon BG for background, Visit California. And I'm going to do @2x and click Save. Click Allow. And I'm going to save it. I'm going to turn my background off now, turn on my middle section. I'm going to go back and do export. I'm going to save my middle and my front as transparent layers using PNG. So I select that. And I'm going to call this icon, and I will say middle, Visit California @2x, and I will save. Lastly, I will turn on my front, and I will do the exact same thing, export, save. I'm going to save it as a PNG because I want the transparency as they told us. I'll change this to icon front, Visit California @2x, and I'll save. Now that we kind of have this template, let's save that as well. So I'm going to do save as PSD. That stands for Photoshop document. That way we can actually open it in Photoshop if you have it, or you can reopen it inside of Photopea if you don't have a Photoshop description. I'm just going to save it here, and I'll call it icon Visit California. So now I have all those. Let's see how we can do this in Photoshop. Here is Photoshop, and I'm going to do new. Over here, I'm going to call it icon Visit California. I'm going to make this 1024 width and 1024 height. I'm going to make the background, make sure that it's transparent, and I can press create. With Photoshop open, I'm going to press Command 0. Let's get our layers going. I'm going to double click and call this background. I'm going to click on this button, click on name it middle, click on this button. I'm going to name it front, boundary circle, and this is my guide. Let's come back and grab our image. Just copy it, come back over here to Photoshop, and Command V to paste it in. You can do Command and minus to zoom out. It's on my guide. I want to transform it. I can do Command T, or same thing, edit, transform, scale. Either way. I'm going to scale this up to where I think I want it, maybe around there. Remember, I don't have my bounding circle, so I don't really know. So let's do that. I'm going to click here. Make sure you select the elliptical tool. Let's go ahead and make this full screen. So I can do Command 0. Come into the top left corner, hold Shift, click and drag until you get to the bottom right corner. I want to do a stroke inside of here. So I'm going to go to Edit, Stroke. Change this to white. Make sure I have 5 pixels. I can do 10 pixels just to show you the difference. Make sure we select inside location. And there's kind of our bounding box. We want stuff inside of there. So it did pretty good. I like where the bears currently are. Now I need to come up with my different layers. So for my background, I'm just going to select some random colors over here. Maybe I will do that. And for my foreground over here, Let's do kind of that color. Let's see how that looks. So I selected 2 different blues. You can select this to switch between, to select a different color and select it here. All right, so let's click on our background layer. I'm going to turn this off and let's select the gradient tool right here. I'm doing gradient. I can drop this down. You can see I can blend between these 2. There's also blues that they have for us. So let's see what my 2 selections look like. These are the options that you have. If you mouse over it, it'll tell you a linear gradient, a radial gradient, an angle gradient, a reflected gradient, and a diamond gradient. I'm going to leave it on linear. And so I don't really like the 2 colors I got. So that's one of the great things here is I could use some of their blues. And maybe I want to do this. So I kind of like that. Or see how I can select around, and I really like this one. Or if I had purples or reds, so I can use Photoshop with some pre-installed gradients like that. That looks more like, looks like that. So I think I'm going to keep that one. So that's my background. I can go ahead and save that, but let's get everything, all our pieces. So I'm going to click on my guide. I'm going to select the magic wand tool, which is right here. I'm going to select the blue, make sure I have contiguous right here off. All of these are being selected. I'm going to do Command C. I'm going to come to my background and paste. So if I right click on this and I try to merge, I cannot merge down because we have a mask and we need to rasterize this layer. So I'm going to right click on this mask and do delete layer mask. Now I'm going to right click and rasterize this layer. I have my background, and now I can right click on the layer above, which is our blue bear, and select merge down. So now this is our background, and if I turn this off, that is our background. And let's turn off our boundary circle so we don't need that actually. Let's get our middle. Go back to our wand tool, select this, or you can press W. I'm going to select the yellow area. I'm going to do Command C. Come to our middle layer, paste. You can see that is our middle layer. I'm going to come back to our guide. I'm going to select the orange. It's also selecting the star because I don't have contiguous on. Contiguous means all of this color that is connected. So if I show you that one more time, if I have contiguous on and I select this, it's only the star, or it's only this orange part of this bear's head. If I take it off, I select it, it selects all colors that are that same hue in this scene, including down here, meet what's possible. So I'm going to do Command C to copy, come to our front, Command V to paste, and there we go. That's going to be the logo for my Visit California app. Here's my boundary box to make sure it's centered inside of there because that's what the app icon will look like. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to do Command S. And I'm going to save it. I'm just going to type Photoshop version here so I know the difference. I'm going to click OK. And let's go ahead and save these. I'm going to take off my boundary box, take these off. This is just my background. I'm going to File, Export. So I don't want to do export as a quick PNG for the background. I want it to be a JPEG. This is a legacy to be able to save for web. We can actually show you this. This gives you options that you could select here and select JPEG high. And then this is what our background will look like. I'm just showing you that. And now we're going to save it. Let's take off the middle. Now this I do want to do as a PNG. So I could do export quick PNG. And here I will do middle at 2x. And then I will do the front, and I'm going to do, and I can do export as, and then this is the newer version. And now you can see I can also do JPEG, PNG. For this one, I want to do PNG and select export. And this will be front at 2x and press save. Now that we have our icons, let's apply them to our XCode project. Here at Assets, you see our app icon. We have front, middle, and back. The reason I selected at 2x, is if you did not put the @2x, it would have made it a 1x. Using @2x will populate all of the different icons that you need for your VisionPro app. Here are my app icons that I've made and labeled. These are my ones that I made in Photopea. These are the ones that I made in Photoshop. Let's see how they both look inside of our app. So let's just connect them. This is my background. I'm going to drag this directly into background. You can see here's what it will look like originally. Here's my front. I'm going to pull this into the front. See how that depth looks there? That really pops off the page. Here is my middle. I'll connect it there. So that gives shadow, and that looks like a really nice icon. Let's see how it looks in the simulator. This version, this is the Photopea version. You can see, look at the shadows of all three layers coming together. That looks nice. So it looks very similar to how this icon pops. See the shadows on Safari and Freeform? We have that same shadow happening for our Visit California app. Let's try the other app icon and see how it looks. All we need to do is pull in those images. So this is the background for my Photoshop. This is my front, should look very similar. And this is my middle, very similar. So the only difference is the background really. So there's kind of a nice hue in between it, but this looks nice. I like how that has the nice shadows and effect for our app. Let's go ahead and see how it looks on the simulator. So here we are. I actually like this version better. The background just looks better. It makes it pop more off of the scene. Let's get closer. So check this out. The California is there, and then when I mouse over, I like that a lot better. It goes away and then it pops up. That's pretty awesome. The shadow of the third layer, which is kind of a hidden layer that when you mouse over it or when it's in focus, it shows up. So now I've showed you how to create app icons using Photoshop and Photopea, a free online design software that you can use for all your VisionPro apps. Where do you go from here? Here's my challenge. My challenge is for you to create your own app icon. Additionally, go ahead and watch the rest of this video from WWDC to learn how to really design for spatial user interfaces. Back here under Design for VisionOS, you should select Designing for VisionOS and read through this documentation. You can see Apple Design Resources here, and you can select VisionPro. And here, I want you to explore the library using Figma and Sketch. You really need to get familiar with the design guidelines by Apple. That way your app gets approved and will be ready for the VisionPro. If you have conflicts and you don't follow these design guidelines, your app would get rejected and then you would have to fix it anyway. So it's great to start now learning how to design great UI, great design, following the Apple guidelines. Hope you had a great Spatial Sunday. See you next week. AR is going to change the world. Everyone can learn, so let's create a diverse group of Immersioneers. Learn more about VisionOS or Lightship by subscribing, liking, and sharing today.